Yeah, seasons freezing in the summer. I got that heat, it gon' keep me comfy. Believe me, gotta keep it from 'em. Can't give 'em nothing, I keep 100. Like seasons freezing in the summer. I got that heat, it gon' keep me comfy. Believe me, gotta keep it from 'em. Can't give 'em nothing, I keep 100. Like seasons, praying for my mother. I don't know God, but it made me wonder what's the problem. Who be watching over? Let me get a sign that they call shorter. And the pennies don't shine when there's no water. And the electrical bill pass through tomorrow. And you gotta stay strong for your son and daughter. I stay looking for a chest so it don't get harder. Anything gon' get into that other shit. Be getting depressed in the booth when I'm letting shit. I just bought a pistol cause I saw to see the world going mad. And they doing all that extra shit. Gotta look alive, stay alive. Gotta look out for my brothers and my sisters if they let it fly. Boys in the blue, gotta pick a side. How could you got somebody your brother when they genocide? Seasons freezing in the summer. I got that heat, it gon' keep me comfy. Believe me, gotta keep it from 'em. Can't give 'em nothing, I keep 100. Like seasons freezing in the summer. I got that heat, it gon' keep me comfy. Believe me, gotta keep it from 'em. Can't give 'em nothing, I keep 100. Like seasons.
Yeah, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. Great to see everybody. We already got the two. I already got my two groupies in the chat. I love them. TW, Gavin, my boys. How are you doing? I'm okay. Thank you, Gavin. Good to see you guys as always. We're back. We got a new setup. I got a sign that says the name of the show. It's right there. So yeah, guys. I cannot wait to get tonight's episode started. We have a really, really, really fun and incredible show planned for you guys. So before we get started, tonight he is here. He is with me. And we got a lot to talk about before we bring on our guest in a little bit here. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the one and only Paul from Into the West. What is up, my guy?
What up? I managed to get off of work. And
Yes!
I should be off of work for the foreseeable future on Monday nights, and I should not miss any more. And I was really salty I missed the Batman episode because I'm sure y'all know I have a ton to say about that. But hey, it is what it is, and we're gonna have a really fun show tonight.
And we'll make sure we'll get back to.
There's plenty of excuses to talk about Batman, especially for us.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Hold on. All right, we got a little salty boy in the chat because somebody's team didn't make the playoffs and somebody else's did, and somebody's teams made the playoffs at the expense of somebody else's.
So we were talking a little bit before the show. You said you had a busy week. You had a sports week.
I watched. That means I watched the New York Yankees push for the wild card. It went pretty well. We're playing tomorrow. It involved beating the Toronto Blue Jays in 2 out of 3 games. Which I don't know if you know this is. I think it's his logo on everything is TW's favorite baseball team, and TW like about a month ago when the Blue Jays swept the Yankees and kind of took the spot from TW, just took it upon himself to message me and be like, "Yo, sucks to suck." And so when the Yankees kind of clinched it up this past week, I was like,
smack talk.
I threw it right back at him. But no, it was all in fun. It was fun to be able to watch that and kind of go back and forth with TW. It was cool.
He's got the crying emoji. I love it. Marlon, good to see you, man. Thank you guys for that. Thanks to everybody who reached out. I said I got salty. To reached out. Obviously, last week I did take an entire 7 days off streaming, which is unheard of for me. So I took a nice little break, rested up. I got sick for about 4 days, and then thankfully got better, and now I'm back, and we got a lot of stuff planned as I said. So thank you to everybody who reached out and all that. Appreciate that. But there is a lot to talk about, man. Obviously, before we get into our little box office breakdown that I want to talk, and Kaden, maybe you can get ready in the background, which always, guys, shout out to our producer, Kaden, in the background. He is the best. We love him. Thank you, man, as always. And as always, shout out to all of the members, all of the people watching the show. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It means the world to us. But before we get into our little box office talk, so Kagan, if you can maybe grab like a box office article or something, because I'm very prepared, as you can totally tell. Venom, Let There Be Carnage came out this weekend.
Yeah.
I did not see it.
Partake. He did not partake.
I did not partake, mainly because I didn't. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't because I didn't have the time. I just didn't really want to. I don't know. But you saw. What did you think, man? What did you think? Well, before we we'll go. Yeah, hold on one second. Before we get into the numbers here, right. Yes, that is what they are for, TW. That is exact. You are exactly right. That and to get me a soda, but he lives in California, so he has to order me one. He has to order me one through DoorDash and or Uber.
2021.
Exactly. But yeah, man, what did you think? There's a lot of it does have good reviews on the Rotten of the Tomatoes.
I think it's a weird movie to hate. If you really just hate that movie, I'm like, I don't really get it, because it's an hour and a half, so it's not too, and it's rushed. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, there's not. I'm convinced that people think that it's rushed, have not read a comic book that involves Carnage, because he's not an interesting character. He does not have very much depth to him. He's basically just, what if Eddie Brock was a rapist and a killer? And I think this movie makes him way more interesting than he ever has been, thanks in part to Woody Harrelson. I just had fun with it, dude. It was fun. I don't think Venom's as serious as a character as people think he is. He's fun, and it was fun. And it wouldn't have made all the money that it made and been as successful if it was rated R and he was tearing people in half and stuff. So, I mean, it's I had a blast with it. And
I give you that.
It's the most fun I've had watching a movie since, boy, I'm not even sure one off the top of my head. I had a blast.
What's up, Zebrafett? What's up? Good to see you, Zebrafett. Was on with Zebrafett on the Nicotina show today earlier. My boy, shout out my boy Nate. Hi, I'm high. Hi. Well, okay, I think I know what that means. If I could describe this movie in one word, fun. I mean, look, I didn't see it.
And I think that's what it is.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't see it. I basically read everything about it. I know the post-credit scene. I know all the spoilers. I was not a fan of the first one. I did not like everything besides the action. I thought, just for me personally, it's not the type of Venom that I wanted to see. I was like,
right.
They did the same thing with Topher Grace a little bit in Spider-Man 3. That he was campy. He was campy, and
that was just bad, though.
I think
Topher Grace was terrible.
I think Tom Hardy is 10 times better. Yeah. I think Tom Hardy is a 10 times better actor and a 10 times better Eddie Brock. I just don't. I don't know. First of all, Spider-Man should be in this. Spider-Man should be, and he should, if not in this, he should be acknowledged in this universe. He should be. Well, yeah, but we went through already a whole.
You can't really
without that, and then they just kind of.
I think that's hard to blame on the movie and the writers and the directors, because the weird bridge between Sony and Marvel has been so weird that, I mean, Sony had to do what it had to do with the properties that it had. It needed to try to make money with those characters. And I think they did the best they could with what they had. I think if you try to go super serious with this Venom character and don't have Spider-Man in tow, it flops and it's uninteresting and it doesn't have any like flavor to the movie, and I think it's boring. And I think what they did with it was a lot of fun. I think Circus did a great job of putting these characters together, and I just saw that Zeverfett said Shriek was unnecessary, and I think she played her purpose in the final fight, which is the only reason she's there because of the power she possesses. And they zoomed past all of her backstory because it isn't that interesting anyways.
Right.
So they didn't bog down the movie with it, which I think is a great thing to do. If you know you don't have a very interesting character, instead of just forcing plot down people's throats and being bored, just say, hey, this character's in this as a means to an end. If it bothers you, it is what it is. We're going to do what we have to do to introduce the character, and then that's it. And I don't think the actress is a very good actress, but I digress from that one because that's like more of like,
Right.
you know. But
no, I mean,
yeah,
I'm surprised.
think,
I'm surprised Zeverfett actually liked it. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't like the first one that much. I am gonna see it, and I'm gonna watch it and stuff and figure out if I like it or. I mean, look, maybe I will like this one more because it doesn't have a lot of like I hated the dialogue of the first one. I hated pretty much the plot. I thought it was just.
Well, it's got the scene like we talked about a little bit before we came on. It's got the scene with in the underground rave. I think you're going to be in two camps. You're going to love that because it's so goofy and it works in the movie, and I just had so much fun with it. Or you're going to think it's stupid and it's going to make you mad. I'm just not in that camp. I thought it was funny and I thought it was fun the way they did it. And I thought it was cool. I mean, like, I just enjoyed it. And I was telling Austin before we started, I said, if you came to me and said, is Venom 2 a good movie? I don't know if my answer to that question is yes. If you ask me, did you enjoy Venom? Yes, very much so. Now, I feel like that's like a contradictory statement. Like, how could you have fun with it but it not be a good movie? I mean, like, from like a plot standpoint, writing.
Yeah. I mean? Look, it's kind of like, are any of the Transformers movies good movies?
Outside of the first one? Probably
really. Not. Do I have fun with them? Yeah. I enjoy Dark of the Moon quite a bit. But no, you're right. I do want to see it, but this movie does seem to be a as I like to say, like an anomaly of sorts. Because the first one, obviously terrible, panned by critics, still did $800 million, absolutely crazy. This one seems to be headed the same way, like all weekend. The score was fluctuating between 60 and 57, and and but the audience, again, still the score is in the 80s and stuff. So this movie seems to it hits with general audiences. I think. I don't think people,
I don't think it tries to be more than it is, and I think that's why I enjoyed it. It doesn't try to be some think piece on the character of Eddie Brock. It doesn't try to make like Venom super intense while still having to be PG-13. It just makes it fun. It doesn't try to be like it's not masquerading as something it isn't.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Exactly. And I think that's a good way to put it. And you're seeing right now, we're going to get into the box office here in a minute. You're seeing why production companies make movies PG-13. And
hey, but also at the same time, look, let's not, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but let's not deny that, like, they could have done this Deadpool style too, and probably would have done just as well financially.
Can Sony afford to do that though?
No,
and watch
and I agree with you.
Because here's the thing. Because here's what happens: they try to go gritty with it, then they can't merge it in the Marvel universe. Then there's a better chance it bombs at the box office, and there's a better chance I think that people don't enjoy it. And that's what Sony wanted to do. It's been clear since they did this whole loaning of Spider-Man thing, even from the outset. The producers at Sony were like, yeah, Venom's going to be part of the Marvel Universe. And Kevin Feige was like, whoa, hold on. We're going to see how this goes first. And so they did what they needed to do. And now, if you've seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it looks like they've got what they needed to. And Marlon said, "Do you think if it was rated R, it would have helped?" I mean, I don't.
I think so. Yes, I think because look, what's the one thing that you see everybody coming out of the movie, even people who like this, like, yeah, I liked it, I really enjoyed the car and stuff. It's like, but like, they would have loved it even more if like it was R rated and he ripped off some heads, ripped
Yeah,
some
but I don't
people
think it.
apart.
I don't
Like,
think we get the post credit scene like that.
you're right.
If it
You're
is,
right.
I do not think so.
And you're absolutely right. You're
And
absolutely
by
right.
that
Where this
I
is headed.
mean,
Yeah,
we don't get the merger of the characters like we want to see.
exactly.
It's like you want to have like people who are saying that they want to have their cake and eat it too. That's just not how it works. You can't still have it and eat it. You can't have this and also have this. It wouldn't have worked. And now that they have it solidified in this universe, you can try new things with it. Since Sony's not worried about it flopping or not getting integrated in any way,
which I agree with, right? And you mentioned it that Sony can't really afford for this to flow. You're 100% right. Which also, real quick, shout out everybody in the chat. Chat's going crazy right now. I can barely keep up with it. Thank you guys. You guys are the best. Love you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But I agree. They cannot they have this and Jumanji. So their Spider-Verse is very important, and it doesn't need to be successful. I agree. But obviously, I don't want to. I'll tell you what. We'll wait to dive into the end credit scene until next week, just to let people, because that does obviously mean a lot. For Sony, for Marvel, it means a lot. That's a whole episode in itself, and we'll save that for next week. But as far as that, I think all of this has convinced me to go see Venom in the meantime.
I think you should see it, man. I think like if it was like a 2.5 hour long movie and I enjoyed it, but I thought it was just like fun and goofy, I wouldn't be like, oh, go watch it, because it's long as shit. But this movie is an hour and a half long. I mean, at worst, you're not wasting that much time if you don't enjoy it.
I do agree with this as well. I would love to see Agent Venom. I thought that would actually work more so in the MCU and Agent
Who
Venom.
knows?
And
With the multiverse stuff, we could get a whole bunch of different stuff going on.
Right. He said this is Venom light. It's less calories.
Right.
But, right. But so yeah. I mean, with that, let's take a look here, Caden, at the box office this weekend, because like I said, this movie seems to be a fucking anomaly. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'm pretty sure this is similar. Maybe it was in 100 million, in the hundreds the last time, but this is big, man. This is the biggest opening of the pandemic, bigger than Shang-Chi. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll tell you what, I didn't expect it.
And okay, so I've been talking a lot about the hour and a half for like my own enjoyment purposes.
Yes.
Yeah, what TW said, like, share, subscribe.
Much appreciated, brother.
Do all the things that help make Pop Culture Corner money. I mean, that no. For real, do it though. But what people like from a purely logistical standpoint, you can show an hour and a half long movie more times in a day than you can show a 2 hour and 45 minute. You get more blocks at the theater. So there's more opportunities for people to go and see your movie. And so therefore your movie will make more money.
I 100% agree. I agree.
It's one of the reasons that production companies are always like, yo, let's cut this down a little bit because we do need to get it in as many theaters as we can. If you have a 3.5 hour long movie, you can only play that movie like 4 times a day, maybe. Right. Unless you like have it blocked out on every single freaking theater, but that's just...
I mean, that too. But I mean, I think also it's just, I don't think general audiences, this is a character that they're familiar with in name. And so I feel like they'll pretty much take anything that they'll get. And the comic fans that do know him, I think from most of the people that I hear, people that have read him from the comics and are all that from the comics are split on this as well. It seems like I know Enosh hated it, right? Zebrafet seemed to like it. Like there's this is a mixed bag of a movie. So I don't know.
think the reason.
Yes, TW. Thank you as well. Make
Yeah,
sure
go
to
do it.
check them out.
We got a fun show coming up for what's it called?
Yeah.
New York Comic Con with Philip Kennedy Johnson, writer of Action Comics, this
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah.
6 p.m. Go do that. But anyways, thank you, TW. Back to what we're talking about. I think that the character of Venom, he's not Batman. He's not Superman. He's not Wonder Woman. He's not the Green Lantern. He's not Iron Man. He's not Thor. He's not this character that has had this steadfast, like, characterization for the past 30 years. And he's not that old of a character. But he hasn't. This character is super volatile. He's one way in one comic, he's one way in another comic. He's a super goofy like character in one, he's a super intense murderer in the other. He's a good guy. And if we want to get into like what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, the Venom character becoming a good guy at any point in time doesn't really make any sense, like, and him being redeemed in a lot of ways because he was like a character that ate people and tried to kill a 16-year-old Spider-Man all the time because he's mad that Eddie Brock's mad that he stole my job, and Venom is mad because he didn't want me anymore.
And see, George, I feel like I might fall in this camp as well. I did not like the first film. Like, it's not like I didn't like. I enjoyed the fight sequences, but I walked out and I was like, I could have gone without seeing that, honestly.
And I had fun.
And so look, so this one might be you know.
Do you know what I'm saying about the characterization though? He's changed a lot through time. So when he's in a movie and he's not exactly the way he was in the comics, well, how can you be exactly the way he was in the comics when he's different in every other comic?
You're right. And now you have this. I know and I haven't read it. The more recent, I think, is the King in Black storyline. That's like pretty brutal and like dark or
I don't know. From what I heard, super brutal. It's not like, super brutal. It's fun and action.
It's darker. It's much darker than
but
any of this stuff that's in the movies right now.
Yeah, it is darker. And he's a more serious character in it.
Right.
But he's not. Spoiler alert for the King in Black. Eddie Brock is not Venom for very long in that comic.
Right.
He actually doesn't have the symbiote attached to him for a large portion of it. And then he does something at the end with it, which is super duper cool. But it's like they weren't going to do that. That's from years of comics and lore being built upon it, so they couldn't do stuff like that. But I just think I don't know. Like King in Black isn't as intense as maybe you've heard it was, Austin. It's not like he's ripping, like anyone's getting their limbs ripped off.
No,
it's like it's not quaint, but it's like it's not deceased. It's not even close to that. Not even close.
No.
And I think this Venom that we got in this movie, this Eddie Brock, could very easily be the same Eddie Brock from The King in Black. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who's read The King in Black to disagree with me. It's not – he's less goofy, but he's pretty much the same. Like, he's got good relationships with people. He's a good guy. He does good things. He wants to be help people. And that's what he's doing in that comic. There's no giant leap from that. You know what I mean? So I digress. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. And then – obviously, the next big movie that's coming out this week, I think this Wednesday or something. I think it has a midweek debut. Is No Time to Die. I could be wrong. Maybe it's Friday. But is No Time to Die. There we go. Could hit. Yep, I was just about to say could hit the 100 million during its domestic. And now this is one that has a lot riding on it. Been delayed a lot. They literally, couldn't release it on streaming for a lot of reasons. Also because Bond movies tend to have a lot of advertisements, if you know.
Are privately owned, compared to most with the Broccoli family, which sounds like a joke. It's not.
The Broccolis, yeah, they got the Broccolis on. Broccoli's got Bond, So, but look,
I heard what was the number? I heard that this had to clear like $1 billion in order. No, it wasn't that. It was like 450 million. It was an absurd amount of money that it has to clear to actually make money back. And that's why they've been so particular about when it gets released.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard as well. And this is a movie that kind of like it can't bomb. People will go into debt. Bad things will happen if this movie bombs.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I think it's been out in the UK for a little bit, and it's doing very well.
Yeah.
In the UK, as well as another favorite of mine that I haven't seen yet, but I can already tell you it's going to be one of my favorite movies of all time, Dune. Like I'm so over the moon.
I'm kind of skeptical about Moon. Dune, excuse
Moon?
me.
Moon was a film, ladies and gentlemen, by
it was is Sam Rockwell in Moon?
Sam Rockwell, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
It was
boo Kevin Spacey, but
yeah, boo Kevin. But it was the son of someone famous directed
Tony or one of the Scots or something like that. I don't know. That movie's coming out soon too. That movie's gonna be super cool. With Adam Driver.
The Last Duel.
Yeah.
Duel. International box office 119 million. So look, I like the Bond movies. I didn't like Spectre actually, but I did enjoy Casino Royale. I enjoyed Quantum of Solace a little bit. Whoa. Hey now. Easy, Caden, on the buttons. Caden's like, let me press every button. But my all-time favorite was Skyfall. Skyfall, I think, is the highest point for me in the franchise. That story and emotion and everything is just.
I think Casino Royale is the. Sorry, I'm sitting too far back. I think Casino Royale is the best Bond movie. I haven't seen every Bond movie ever, but I've watched pretty much all the Brosnan's ones, most of the Connery ones, a couple of the Roger Moore ones.
Oh, you've seen the Connery ones, haven't you? Yes.
I think...
me and my Bond girls.
Yeah.
They love me.
I think Casino Royale is the best. I think Skyfall is the most entertaining. I think we were talking about it a little bit before we started. The writer's room, screenwriters, production, director, all have very much kind of openly admitted that we were like, whoa, Dark Knight was super cool. Let's do that, but with Bond. And that's pretty much what Casino Royale did. Bond is very much, they will do like whatever is super like in for movies at that time. Like what was Casino Royale? For those of you that remember, Pierce Brosnan's Bonds were wrapping up, and the Jason Bourne movies were coming out. And everyone was saying
that was parkour.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Whoa, Jason Bourne is like the new Bond. This is super cool. I wish Bond was like this." And if you watch Casino Royale, and you'll see like how they borrowed from the Jason Bourne movies, which it sounds weird. Bond is so much older of a character, but it's clear that those movies were influenced by Bourne, and for the better. I think Casino Royale is fantastic. I think Quantum Solace is pretty good. Skyfall is super entertaining. I think Spectre it's got its moments. It's just way too long, and they tried to do like a little too much. But and I'm excited for this. I really like Daniel Craig, and I'm excited to see that and him kind of finally wrap it up in this version of the character. And I had a point, and I don't remember what it was, but James Bond is cool. That's my point. Did Austin freeze, or am I frozen? I don't know. Someone in the chat let me know if I'm freezing or is he freezing. Am I talking to myself right now? Okay, I think I am the only one here right now. I don't know what happened, but okay, there goes Caden. Hello, Caden. Okay, you're good. I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't, because I could never tell. Okay, thank you, Gavin. I'm like looking at the chat. Yeah. Help me! I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know what happened either. He was yelling at me about my Wi-Fi before we started. Yeah, it was weird. But I think Bond will do very well. And
yeah,
I think one of the reasons I'm pretty sure that it kept getting pushed back was because they had to update a lot of the what's it called? product placement in it because it was all outdated because this movie was supposed to come out like a year ago, and all the stuff that they wanted to showcase from that had already come out, and they can't sell that stuff anymore. So they had to like update his suits and his watches and the cars and all that kind of stuff. And that's always what Bond's been about.
And also didn't like one of the actors, I believe, get COVID like on last
yeah, I think you're right. I think they did. And that had a lot to do with
like the last month and a half of shooting or something like that. It was like something crazy. It was either that. Oh, it was Mission Impossible.
Because
but it might have been this too as well.
No, I think this might have had a COVID pushback, but Mission Impossible was the one where I think there was like a audio snippet of Tom Cruise like freaking out on the
just like freaking out, and it was like the best thing ever that came out from like
it was
weeks.
It was a message for everyone who doesn't want to follow COVID guidelines.
It was just like F this if you're gonna do that. Like it was just like, okay, yep, agree. But yeah, so, I think this will do fine this week.
I know me and all my me and the Into the West guys and a bunch of our friends are going to see it. And
Tom said I don't want to ever see that again ever with the whole no masks on set.
That's what it was.
And didn't they like get a robot to make sure they're enforcing mask mandate on set or something like that? Like some report. Yeah, like he had like two robots that were making sure people were like cameras and everything, making sure everyone's like following protocols. Because like it's serious for him. Like he if he just want to die of COVID. If anything, he probably want to die of doing his own stunt. You know.
Right. Exactly. That's Tom Cruise's dream to die for doing a stunt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he's like the exact opposite of Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig hates being James Bond and he's over it. Tom Cruise loves being Ethan, whatever his name is. I almost said Ethan Hawke, but it's Ethan. What's his name? What's his character's name? I don't remember. Ethan Impossible. And he he loves doing that crap.
Yeah, he lives for it. He's like he loves doing new stunts. Like he does like 2 or 3 new stunts every movie that he does. And like he literally jumped off a train and jumped off a plane. He literally flew a plane in Top Gun Maverick at the highest speed. So it's like he's doing all this crazy stuff because he loves it. On the other hand, I think Daniel Craig might not be done with action full time. He'll be done with action full time, but not.
Well, he's locked into that Knives Out thing now. That's his thing now.
He has one more movie with that, which I think they're filming in next June.
I think was it not a deal for like 2 or 3 movies? Did they say they were going to move away from his character after this next one?
2 movies, and then it was so he I think that Netflix deal made him like the highest paid actor in 2020.
That's crazy.
Because The Rock was the highest, and then Daniel Craig's Netflix. It was like
all right, so I have.
It was Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig had like a big deal.
Yeah, I wonder. So I don't. It's what's his name? The guy who played Freddie Mercury, who's the bad guy in this new one, right?
Rami Malek, who plays
Rami Malek. Yeah,
who's playing Craig's doctor now.
He's playing what?
Because he's what people believe is this version. He's like another major Bond villain that Connery faced up against, and I think even like Connery and Bronson, one of the two went up against Dr.
So I have like a weird, I guess it's a fun fact about I think it's Dr. No. I don't remember which movie it is, but Odd Job, the guy who throws the hat and like decapitates the statue and people and such. He that actor is he fought in the like first or second ever UFC, and if you've ever seen the clip
Oh wow.
of the early UFC where the guy is just repeatedly being punched in the balls because they didn't have rules for that at that point, it's him. He's the
Yeah.
guy getting punched in the balls. And now
Wow.
you might think that's kind of sorry. I feel bad for him that's what happened. Well, don't feel too bad because he's in
Right.
federal prison now for
That was Goldfinger.
rape. Yeah.
Goldfinger.
So he's a not a great guy. So maybe if you want to have a little like catharsis, go watch the guy who played Oddjob, who is a rapist, get punched in the balls repeatedly on the internet. So it's fitting, you know. I think it's pretty fitting.
You know, be like and put a song to it. Put a song to it, make an edit, and post on Twitter. You know,
I'm sure someone's done that.
Punched in the balls. Oh,
Yeah.
someone has. They do fan cams of everything now, like everything. And then like I was just like scrolling this article, and then I see one cool article right here, which is Ben Affleck talking about him being back on set after being as Batman and being in the cape and everything, and how fun that is. After a difficult time playing Batman with Justice League, and then trying to write his own Batman movie with Jeff Johns, and he finally came back and rewrote some parts of the Flash script, and then signed on to the movie, and then filmed for a week or two, and then he came out and said this stuff. So it's cool to see that he's having fun again. He's happy.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that he's enjoying it, because I remember. Hold on. Yeah, Gavin said, "Paul, the crazy shit, man." Yeah, the amount of nonsense knowledge I have in my brain, I don't even know what to do with it. But I know for like when he first got the role of Batman, people were kind of surprised because he had such a bad experience with Daredevil. So the fact that it was so polarizing and people talk so much crap, and it kind of hurt his career initially. And he built it back up with like Gone Girl and Town, which Town is one of my favorite movies. That movie is fantastic. And then
did he also do Argo?
Yeah, and that movie is really good too. And then he's Batman, and it was polarizing again. And then Justice League comes out, and he's getting crapped on again for the movie. And it's like he was like, "Man, I'm gonna stop doing these Superman or these superhero things because all it does is get a bunch of really annoying people to come at me really crazy."
Yeah,
but it's nice to see that has kind of rescinded a little bit, and he's able to find like a little bit of love and enjoyment in it, and continue making the movies. Because I'm sure people watching know that I don't love the characterization of his character, like the writing for Batman and that, but his acting and portrayal is fantastic. He seemed like he didn't care in Justice League. We now know why, and he's much better in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And it's nice to see him back. It's gonna be cool to see him with all the and Ezra Miller again.
It's also like we've seen the set photos of the stunt double, which is not Richard Citrone, but it's the guy who did Robert Pattinson's stunts and the Batman, who's running around all town in Glasgow, and then then we again he says he filmed for a week or two and had fun while filming, so and in the cape, and then as Bruce was too. So you can definitely. I wonder if they put Keaton and Affleck in the same room, see how that chemistry would go. But they have wrapped principal photography, which that means additional photography is still going on. But right now, as like the main cast is done, they're just shooting extra shots, some exterior, interior, B slots, stuff like that. So
looks like Austin is having a little bit of internet trouble. Let's see.
yes,
He's got the itinerary, if you will. So I'm not
yeah.
sure what we're moving into next. I think we're gonna do more a guest, but we're gonna wait a minute until we get Austin. Sit tight. Austin is
She's on
feeding
his
me
way.
information now. Yes. Stand
Huge.
by.
Stand by.
So Austin was talking about Dune, and I hate to kind of poop on it a little bit while he's not here, but I also am kind of like, I don't know, man. And
Yeah.
let me message our boy real quick. So I'm gonna. All right. So what I was gonna say, I think so. I've watched. I feel like it might just be a product of having seen that one trailer so many times, but I am like weirdly pessimistic about the Dune movie now, because the more I've watched it, the more I've seen of it, I'm like, this kind of looks like it might be a mess. And also, and Denis Villeneuve, I mean, I have no reason to believe he won't make a incredible movie. I love everything he's done, especially Blade Runner 2049. That's like one of my favorite movies ever. But there's a couple of things in the trailer that have just irked me so bad to this point where I'm like, I don't know. And I'm sure I'm tripping and it's going to be a lot of fun. But like the Jason Momoa part where he's like, let's fight like demons. I'm like, that is the corniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Maybe I've just heard it so many times now that I'm like, oh my God, okay. And then there's a scene at the end of the trailer where like they've got that gold. I don't know Dune lore. So if anyone in the chat does, please let me know. He's got what's it called? He's got like the gold helmet that's like forming around his head and it like is coming off. And I swear to you, it looks like they like went into Premiere, cut his face out, and just placed it over top of the CGI. It looks like a floating head on top of armor. Or face, excuse me, on top of armor every time I see it. And it's the last shot of the trailer. So every time I watch the trailer, I have that like bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, I hope that the CGI as a whole is like fantastic the whole movie.
Yeah.
And
it looks like, like I believe some of the worm is practical. But then
and the worm looks great.
Yeah, the worm, it looks I think like, obviously the first probably like 6 feet like of it is practical while everything else is like dots and sticks.
Right.
And then so that like it forms the actual thing.
Let's see what we got.
But yeah, like you were saying, like the whole golden armor, it seemed like that was a shot that they could have kept, and like when they're still working on visual effects,
worked up a little bit better,
it, like actually finish it without putting it in the trailer, just finish it, then put in the trailer, like put in the final trailer, like this is the money shot right here. Because I believe that like
it was a weird. Every time I see it, I think it's a weird shot to end on.
It is. It's a bit weird shot to have like it in like your second trailer, and then some of your TV spots.
Gavin
and
said
at the end.
Wait, sorry. Go ahead, kid.
I was saying like especially at the end, it looks so weird. And then
I feel like there's got to be a better trailer shot they could have ended on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
But then maybe you can't. I think they used all of Zendaya's footage, so like they can't do much with her and like show like they showed all of her stuff. So she's not in the movie for like 20 minutes. She's in it for like 10 minutes. So it's like they showed all of her scenes. Like
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in the second one she only has like 40 to 50 minutes. So it's not like she has this she has a humongous role. She's the one that, helps Timothy's character love, the planet more.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first one, she doesn't have much of a big role, but the second one she has like a pretty significant role. So it's just like
I don't know anything about Dune lore.
Like that's like what and it's just like okay. They could have, kind of not showed all of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm back.
He's back.
All right.
Oh my goodness! I was like,
Dude,
oh my
literally was
gosh!
freaking out. I was
like,
running. So I thought it was my internet. No, it was my computer. I just had to restart the computer. I was like freaking out. I was like, go figure.
Okay,
Night.
so before Austin gets us back on track, I'm gonna.
Yes.
Gavin asked me what I thought of episode 8 of What If. I haven't watched it yet.
It's okay. It's
I mean,
I
I
like
just
it. It was
after watching the first 7 episodes, I've kind of just been like, I am not in any kind of rush to watch these because I don't find them that entertaining.
Yeah, it was better, but not. Yeah, they're not very good. But I do want to say hi to H Barts. Good to see H Barts. Always good to see H Barts in the chat. But without further ado, he is in the background, and obviously my delay with the internet. I don't want to keep him waiting any longer, guys. I do want to, and also shout out Caden for filling in. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But I do want to bring on our guest tonight. So quick little background here. A couple years ago, I was more involved with the filmmaking community here in Las Vegas, and trying to make my way and do some things there. And I ended up meeting a really awesome guy named Marco. And he was a local filmmaker here, but he has a lot of experience in LA and actual Hollywood and marketing and a lot of different stuff. And so I got to help him and give him a hand in making the film that he was doing at the time, which just coming up on the anniversary, on its 3-year anniversary. It's called Amygdala Warrior, and we'll bring up a trailer and all that and talk about it a little bit here. But we do want to bring him on. So, guys, help me in welcoming and thank you for being here, Mr. Marco Saccharin. What is up, man? How are you doing?
Hey, good. Just letting you know this is my first podcast, so be easy on me, all right?
Oh, right. Nice. I love it. Yeah, man. I mean, well, first of all, thank you again so much for being here. I know, it's been an interesting 2 years. With the pandemic and everything happening here and all that. But I know you're working on a new film now. We'll talk about that a little later as well and stuff. So it's awesome to have you here, man. And I'm so excited to talk about all this stuff because you have quite the story and a lot of stuff that I relate to. A lot of stuff I think is I'm big on mental health. I'm big on all that type of stuff, and you basically have everything going against you when it comes to filmmaking. Physically, I think a lot. You have the arthritis and stuff. You had a very tragic accident when you were younger. So do you want to tell us just a little bit about what are some of the challenges that you've had to face in filmmaking and things like that?
Well, first, thanks for having me on and breaking me in on this podcast thing. It's a long story, obviously, but in simple terms, it wasn't until about 11 years ago that I actually figured out what was going on. So when you don't know what's going on, there's no explanation for issues you're having. It's a struggle. But once you start learning about it and you become more mindful, and then you start unraveling things and figuring out where the root of your troubles are, then you start managing it. And so it's taken me 11 years, but I actually can tell you, feel very satisfied. I'm pretty well managed at this point because I'm very aware of what caused things. So the three things that are the source of my hurdles in life, in my career, are physical and mental. And I fell off a roof when I was 5 years old. I grew up on an old farm, and my dad was a cartoonist, by the way, syndicated. And in the early, like since the 1920s to the 1970s. But in the 1930s, he was on the radio with this is the side note, but on the radio with the creators of G-Man and Little Abner. And he was on a show called Fathers of the Funnies. He had a cartoon that was syndicated around the country. But he was a big influence on me. I fell off a roof when I was 5 years old. He had a studio on a farm. And I fell off of a roof of a porch of a chicken coop and landed on my back and hit my head on a rock. And it wasn't a flat stone pad; it was like a field stone, so they're rough edges. So it basically gouged out a hole in the back of my head. And as a 5-year-old, I had more than a dozen stitches. That's a lot of stitches for a little boy's head.
Right.
He sewed me up and sent me on my way, basically, and I had to figure the rest out. It took about a half a century. But what affected a part of my brain called the parietal lobe, which is where I process information. And when I unraveled everything 11 years ago through therapy, a diagnosis therapy, and an internist that actually was the first one in the sequence to diagnose me, I found out that the issues I had were in sequencing and lists and processing of that type of information. So for my simple example is, it's like a read-write thing. I can read and I can write, but the trouble is reading. So I can, for example, I could write a manual for something, the instructions, but I couldn't read it. I have a hard time reading it. It's like the inputs part was damaged. So my learning, I became a learning disabled person without being identified as one for my whole life. When I had a passion for filmmaking at age 10. When I was 6, my brother got a home camera. And then at 10 years old, he went off to college and was selling his little 8mm camera. And I loved it so much. I said, give it to me. And he says, I'll sell it to you. Of course, that's an older brother, his 10-year-old brother. So I didn't have the money. My dad fronted the money, and I mowed lawns for the summer to work it off. But I had my first camera. And then, of course, now I have 24 cameras. But back then, I was just having fun. I didn't know anything about movie making other than it was fun. And it was experimental. My dad turned me on to animation, and a friend of my brother's turned me on to claymation. And I put a reel together, and I actually got an interview with the co-producer of Return of the Jedi at Lucasfilm back in the early 80s. That was my first break in the business.
Wow.
Well, my work paid off, and it showed some quality, but I was still learning long ago. But along the way, 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with bipolar. Call it disorder. I call it a bipolar condition.
Right.
Disorder is if you can't handle it, but if you can manage it, it's a condition. And that's mostly related to mood swings, but depression or mania. But it also affects concentration. It affects energy levels, fatigue, all kinds of other symptoms. And because of my arthritis, which I developed at age 20, it's a rheumatoid type arthritis, it's psoriatic arthritis, and so that creates fatigue. So all these hurdles are in my way. I want to make movies, and I kept pursuing it through college. I was making movies every time since 10 years old, literally, always messing around, doing something. And it got to a point where when I was diagnosed, and I get them jumping around a bit because there's a lot to tell here, but when I was 11 years ago, when I was diagnosed, and I said, oh, that's what explains it. And I started to learn up on it. Oh, that explains all this stuff, explains it. So I started to catch myself before I would go into depression, but I found that movie making made me happy. I was never depressed making movies. So I kept working, making movies, because that was what maybe was my happy zone. I didn't need a drug. Just the fact of working on a film, with a bunch of people was the best remedy. So that's why I've been keeping busy. I'm working on my 7th feature, but I learned that also script writing helped my damage to my brain, because it helped me rebuild those circuits that were, couldn't. I used to stutter. I would talk, like a stutterer. My brain would kind of stop. Another parallel I use is like my brain is like a LP record, right, with all the grooves and the needles running along it, playing it.
Right.
And then it hits a spot, and then it hits a spot, and then it hits a spot, and it's like gets locked in. And so that's what would happen to me in learning. So I'd have to reread things 10 times sometimes to get it into my brain. So I'd work overtime. But script writing helped rebuild those circuits because it's sequential, it's time related. So it was tough at the beginning, but now I'm on 18th, 19th screenplay, and it helped rebuild those circuits in my brain. So I used it as therapy as well as my passion. So it worked both ways. That's my long answer. I have a long, but it will be way beyond the show.
That's fine. No, that's
great.
fine. I mean, and that's amazing, man. I mean, you've, like you said, you've had all these hurdles, but you still, you started with claymation. You said, so what was it about like claymation that had you interested in? What got you, like, how did you get into it with the dude from Return of the Jedi? And all that?
It's who you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi, and I got some connections. I was talking with Phil Tippett, who did all the animation there, because that's what I was connecting with. Mm-hmm. And then he connected me in LA too, because I arrived just in the middle of production, and I was in touch with him, but it was just a little late to get hired there, unfortunately. But he referred me down to Doug Trumbull, who did the special effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey and a whole bunch of other stuff. You look him up. Doug Trumbull, big name in the business. So I got in touch with him, with Phil Tippett's referral. Talked to Doug, and he set up an appointment for me to meet him. And I thought I was all set to go. I was going to be in Hollywood doing animation and working with the best guy in the business.
Right.
And then he was working on a movie called Brainstorm at the time, and Natalie Wood died. And so they called me and said they canceled all the appointments, and I never heard back.
Wow.
But I ended up working at the Groundlings Theater and worked with some great talents there.
Nice.
And then from there, I got in touch with a whole bunch of stuff in Hollywood, and that was my doorway to another. I could write a book on it, honestly.
You should.
Well, I have notes. Definitely, I will do that.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
But you asked me something.
The claymation. What was it? How did you get into the whole claymation and
well,
all that?
My brother would, film me in like home movies. He'd like he'd set the camera up and punch me out, and he'd tell me, "Play dead, play dead." So I played dead, but then in one shot, I actually got up, put my shoe on because it fell off, and then played dead again.
Right.
A 6-year-old, a 6-year-old would just do something like that. But it got me aware of the filmmaking process. And then when I got the camera, my one of my other brother turned me on to claymation. And when I got to 6th grade, they had a science project, and I did the evolution of man in claymation for my 6th grade science class.
Okay.
And everybody applauded. It was great. It was a big sensation.
Right.
So I just kept it up, and I did all kinds of stuff. Again, long stories to tell on that. But what got me involved was just the fascination of it. And Ray Harryhausen, I grew up on his movies, those old stuff, animation.
Right.
And even when Star Wars came out in the late 70s, with the walkers, and all that, that's all stop motion. It was just how you could bring life to it. And I had a knack for it. My dad initially taught me with a little doll. We set up a drawing on a big board, and I animated this doll climbing this ladder and walking along a plank and down over here. And that was my first little test shot to see. And I said, "Oh, that's cool." He turned me on to do it. My dad, he was, turns out he was in the Army Air Force Motion Picture Corps in World War II, and was out there at the front lines filming action, sent it back for the newsreels.
Right. That's awesome. That is so cool. I mean, and so you get into it with your brother and stuff, and it's just kind of like was your brother ever involved in any of your other like filmmaking adventures as you kind of went on?
He had his own career. My brothers were 8, 9 years older than me, so they kind of had each other, and I was the tag along, and I was the one that was picked on. I have a photo of them burying me in the cornfield up to my head because they said, "Get down this hole," just to take a picture of a head in a cornfield. They set me up. So when I got in there, I thought I could just climb back out. It was just dirt. But once they buried me up to my head, I couldn't move an inch. So I screamed out. My mom said, "Dig up your brother now. Dig him up right now."
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
but
yeah.
They had fun with me, and I don't blame them for it. I mean, I'd probably do the same thing if I was their age. But they went on their own paths, and I went on mine. And the brother that helped me with the camera, he went to Juilliard in New York, so I got an exposure to Broadway through him. But after that,
cool.
And he had a career in theater, and I went on to theater and film.
Cool.
And my oldest brother in music. He plays with Michael Bolton's brother, Orrin Bolton, and he plays with a bunch of other people.
Wow.
Papa John Creech. He played with Papa John Creech back in San Francisco, I believe. I think he told me that, but I don't want to make it up. I think he remembered Papa John Creech, but so little connections there. And I grew up in Northwestern Connecticut, where there were a lot of arts going on. My parents were arts, very centered on the arts, and I got exposed to a lot of theater and film throughout my life, just by luck, I guess, too.
Yeah. When did you move to Vegas and do your first film out here?
In 93, I came here because of my arthritis, which, my hands are all crippled here.
Right.
I wanted to get out of the winters, so I wanted to go west. I was in LA in the 80s. I went back east in the late 80s, early 90s, and then I wanted to come out here. We had to start a family. My wife and I, Kim and I, started a family. We had our first daughter, Liana. And Vegas, her parents moved to Vegas. I said, "Vegas? Who wants to live in Vegas? I mean, what am I going to do? Live on the Strip in a hotel?" And so, but no, there was a real community. I don't want to make fun of it because it was actually beautiful every time I came out here at 4 visits. And so I said, "Okay, let's take a shot." And I ended up working for the MGM when it opened. I was a communications consultant, and then I connected to a production company there. Encore Productions, and I ended up working for them for a number of years. And then, but I wanted to make films. So in 1995, I said, no one's going to ask me to make a movie. So here I am settled in Vegas. I'm near LA. Let me just start making a movie. So I put a shingle up and said, making a movie, everybody.
Right.
And turned out to be involving 150 people, my first film.
Nice.
I got people off the strip. I got, went to Starlight Express because, and I asked around, and I got special effects guys from there because one of my actors knew someone there, and then someone else knew someone at this show, and someone knew something at, wherever. So I was able to tap into the local talent and figure, give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, all the connections, and so do your first film and stuff. What, how does that go? And then you end up doing. You're on. Is this your seventh film? Okay, so you've done. So Amygdala was 6. So you're doing 5 more, and leading up to Amygdala, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit here. What was the experience, and what has been your experience of filming here in Vegas, the film making community here in Vegas, all that type of stuff?
Actually, I've had a lot of good luck. There's a lot of love in this town. Yeah. And I was the recipient of a lot of people that just like being involved. I mean, it was actually astonishing. And for the most part, actors, because they all want to be involved in something. They want to keep busy, and they didn't know if your project would be the one that would expose them, and we would showcase their talent. So every opportunity was great, and that's the great enthusiasm of the actors here in town. For the most part, everyone loves to get involved. So I try to find a part for everybody. That's why a lot of people get involved. But I've slowly got simpler and simpler because handling a lot of people is a lot of work, especially when you don't have a lot of funds. You're not paying people. I don't have people that I'm hiring to run. I never worked with an assistant director or a line producer. I did all the work. So I did work on a short with an AD, and it was like, oh my God, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is great. I want an AD all the time. But I kind of learned the ropes my own way by just jumping in and doing it. And then the most important thing that I've always been advised to do, and that I follow as well, is it's all about the story. I'm always attracted to good stories, and then I figure out how I'm going to tell it and who are the actors I want to portray it. But it always starts with a good story. And I don't move forward until I have that, and then I don't move forward until I have a good cast. And then once I have the story down and the cast down, the script can change. But once you have the cast and the story, you're locked in, and that's what I bank on.
Yeah.
I'm still practicing. I call them just practice projects. You have to cut your teeth somehow. You can't just jump into this big, it's like a military operation. You can't just jump into a military operation out of the blue. You got to practice and work your way up.
Exactly. And it was cool is I know, I've read some of your scripts and stuff is you have a lot of different, you can do like comedy, you can do drama, you can do, it's got, you have fun with it. And then you do a really good job of kind of mixing genres and stuff, right? And that's I'm not
afraid to be inventive. That's for sure. I'm not afraid to be inventive.
Exactly. That's for sure. And that kind of brings me to what I think is probably, I'd say, your most inventive film, was Amygdala Warrior. But there was so much like behind all of that and behind the story. So where did Amygdala? What? How's this? We'll start it this way. Well, let's take a look here at we have the.
I want to explain it before you show it.
Sure. Okay.
So, I explored different genres in films because I got to find my place. You got to find your voice as a filmmaker. And maybe you don't find it right out of the gate. You just kind of see what you can do, and then you go from there. So I was trying different genres. In this case, it was a psychological thriller genre that I chose. I'd written a script over the years. I'd written multiple scripts, and I woke up one morning thinking, I got to make another movie. Because I was kind of depressed. And I said, I got to get out of this depression. So what's the one I want to make? And it was a script it was called Shot. And so it just popped in my mind one morning. I said, that's the one. So I looked it up. I said, yeah, this is doable. I can do this. So then it evolved into Amygdala Warrior. It was renamed because it started with initial concept, but it was about being in the head of a suspect of a murder who was mentally disturbed. And I want the audience to be as mentally disturbed in the movie as the suspect was. So they're in his head, in his consciousness almost. Right. So I took a big risk because it's not for everybody. It's very creative, but it's meant to pull people in and appreciate the discordant chaos, random things, memories creeping back, all the kind of stuff that I wanted them to feel for this character. Also, I wanted to do commercial stuff. I want to do stuff that makes big bucks, and so, but I had to exercise for myself this. My dad was he was a cartoonist, but he's also like a German expressionist painter. Yeah. So I was very influenced by that. So I said, okay, I can't get rid of that. I don't want to get rid of my dad's influence, but I can't be a commercial filmmaker if I'm always doing that stuff. So I said, let's purge this and dump it all into this one project where I'm just going to go whole hog on just being creative and just say, throw caution to the wind and just make the audience, force the audience to live in this guy's brain and in his mood and his dreams. And so I said, let's go all the way with this. So maybe the next one I make can be like, not this. It could be something different. And I'm working on that now, a little more commercial, right? Because I want to make money at this. This is a hobby trying to turn into a profession. So
yeah, but this is, but and I think we've seen now too. We'll talk a little bit about this later with streaming and stuff. Art house films have found a very, good home. You look at movies like The Lighthouse and some of these other movies that come out that, they do very well. So I think this is one of those that
it's niche, but because it's the internet, niche could be pretty big. Yeah, I got
it. Exactly.
So this trailer represents the fast cutting thoughts, that are firing in his brain. So I want the audience to feel like they have to catch up with it, because that's a symbol, representative of his brain.
Exactly. And then I came into this after you'd already finished filming most of the entire thing.
I needed help.
It was kind of interesting because I was doing a lot of stuff, but I think probably the biggest thing that I learned is I never got to see a movie in the edit and get to give as many comments and feedback. I think I saw that movie probably like 10 times. Before, and we really. So I kind of helped almost. It felt like in the direction of the edit and to help
I gave you an associate director.
We came up with the it's like associate director. Yeah, but that's exactly what it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you were helping me. I like to collaborate because the shortcomings I have with the disabilities, I like to bounce things off of other people's brains to make sure I'm thinking correctly. Because if not, and also I made this film in this style because if I did screw it up because I have little time issues, and stuff, then it would be all blamed on just that's the style of the movie.
Right. And it was fun because, like you said, knowing with what you wanted the film to be from the perspective and have the anxiety of the main character, So that was exactly what I was just thinking about the whole time and stuff. So yeah, let's take a look at this trailer and then we'll talk more about it. Let me see. How do I make this full screen there? There we go.
Dr. Trotsky was a difficult man.
Still the boss around here.
Who would kill him could be anyone's guess.
I need help with that.
Good luck finding his killer.
Taking him to so many doctors, nobody can help him.
It's all real to him.
Sometimes violent acts are caused by crazy people.
That's how you see him. Which horse are you?
That's how the world sees him.
Sometimes violent acts are caused by people who were turned crazy.
I'm Detective Dustin. May I speak to your office manager, please?
Think I can be somebody?
I've heard such good things about you.
Place looks
I'm really hoping you can do something for him.
How does that make you feel?
Trail leads right there.
Fear.
One inside Buster's truck. This kid shot at me. Tell me how.
Just because we can imagine something and believe it does not make it real.
There we go. Got the trailer there. So,
You see the poster there now.
Yes, and the poster, and this is also obviously, and I'll put the link in the chat here as well.
The website, I had it on Wix, but I didn't renew it, so I don't know if that's working now. But the Marco.tv is working, and you can click to it from there. That's the portal I use right now. I'm going to develop that next year.
Yes, and then also in the I put it in the chat, the link to watch it, and you can rent the film and all that from there.
Yeah, through Vimeo on demand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have it on Amazon Prime, but the account needs two titles. So when I get this next film done, that's going to go up there, and then I'll have 2 titles, and they'll both be on Amazon Prime.
Oh, very cool. Nice. Okay, that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. I mean, so the first 2 acts of the movie are very much meant to feel very, very much like that trailer, very jarring, just kind of very, it's a lot. You're going back and forth from psych sessions to things going on at home to things going on at school to things going like
I'm using the structures. I'm following 15 sessions of psychotherapy, and in each session, we're going back in his memories, and his therapy is drawing him into recalling stuff from his world. So yes, it's structured by 15, sequential sessions.
But the movie is inspired by a big mental health aspect, that being the amygdala, which was the big word. Big word of the day, guys. I should have
knew what it was or how to even say it.
Right, exactly. Big word of the day. I should have put a graphic as you said, but so tell me a little bit about what's your knowledge of the amygdala. Why choose to do a movie on a part of the brain that it seems like nobody's ever heard of?
Well, that's the very reason, because nobody's heard of it or talked about it. I wanted to bring it up, get people to think about it and be more aware of it. And in the process of writing the story and coming up with that title, it really was a matter of education. I learned more about it, and I kind of came to a conclusion that a lot of troubles we have, a lot of violence we have, is caused by the amygdala, because what it does is the amygdala is in simple terms, the prefrontal cortex, the forehead part of the brain, does the thinking and decision making. And the amygdala is small, like an almond-sized organ in the middle of the brain, but it's primitive, and it actually is the fight or flight mechanism. So at any point, it'll say, stop thinking, don't make a decision, just do it and figure it out later, right? And so it's an immediate response mechanism that goes back to our primitive brain. And when I look at violence out there, the story that I originally wrote was in response to the Sandy Hook killing in Connecticut, which was just a couple of towns from where I grew up. So it had a little personal feel to it. And all these killings are happening, but that one struck me. And I'm going, especially with the kids, it was like, that's the last thing. So that made me start thinking, what's the cause of this? How could I make a movie that could open people up to a discussion about the cause of it? And the amygdala was more than just a responsive thing, but because the amygdala is in charge. It's like the reins. In this movie, the horses represent the control. Either they're wild horses or they're tamed by the reins. And the amygdala they represent the amygdala, the wild amygdala, or you're going to rein it in. And so the training that this suspect goes through in therapy is to help him reel in the reins and control his emotions and not let the amygdala take over. And there's a surprise ending. I won't mention what it is because it's a surprise, but there is a twist and everything, so you have to watch it to find out. However, the amygdala was fascinating because it wasn't just the response, but I feel it was a response sometimes to what we can conjure up in our heads. We come to belief systems, we come into beliefs, and we see the world a certain way. So the amygdala can respond to how our false beliefs are. So if we have false beliefs or false understandings of life, the amygdala responds to those fears, which may not exist, you see?
Yeah. Thanks, Saggy. Appreciate you. Much love, Saggy. And I agree. But here's my thing: is you have the movie is about this character, this kid,
Adam. Yeah,
Adam, who he's throughout the film he's the prime suspect of a murder.
Yes.
And
everything points to him. That's why everything points to him.
Exactly. And but I thought that's what I thought was interesting is having this character with all these mental health issues that you end up finding out about through the movie and stuff, about being the prime suspect and seeing it from his point of view and how you would see it. And then you are also in the film. You played the character of the psychiatrist and stuff. Mm-hmm. So what went into writing those two characters, Adam and the psychiatrist? Because the movie is very much there too. So both of them have their own struggles and stuff. I don't want to give everything away and stuff.
Right.
But there's a very interesting connection between the two of them and stuff. So where did that come from and that story?
No, I'm trying to remember now too. It's been a while, but basically, when I wrote it, I have to write a script that is doable, is producible, and I can't write it with like big special effects and stuff. So I try to find stories that are character driven, that are taking place in one room as much as possible. So in this case, I had the therapist room, so a lot of the scenes could be shot in the same place, different angles, but basically it made it simpler. So I tried to write it to lend itself to a simpler production. And we pretty much shot it all in one office setting and just changed it up for every little scene, different parts of the room. But essentially, I wanted to feel like the movie was helping to unravel this character's brain so that we can understand the situation better. So while it's dramatic and it's around a murder and it's suspenseful, the character is undergoing a process of what I call just solving himself. And so I'm putting out to everybody who has a mental health issue or any issue whatsoever, it's your job. Try to solve yourself. How do you solve it? You have to be a detective of yourself. So this is a murder, a crime story that has a detective, but the detective was a subplot. I made it. It wasn't the main character. I made the therapy the main plot, and the detective was just the subplot that helped pull it together at the end. And so, in a sense, the detective was investigating the crime, and the patient and the psychologist was investigating the mind. So I created the therapist being someone who was also a detective and turning the main character into a detective of himself to investigate the source and unravel the issues he has so he can solve himself. And that was my message to anyone watching, is that just find the help and solve yourself.
Right. And it's a great, I love the way that it's done. I think it's very, like I said, those first, I'd say two, acts of the film they're meant to be very jarring. They're meant to be very much, and that was a big conversation. That was the big conversation in the edit, right? We want it to be jarring. We want it to hit you and be impactful, and we want the audience to go, okay, what's going on, but not to the point where they're like, all right, what's going on?
You have to get them back on track, but
exactly.
I loosen up a bit, let them float a little bit into this world, and then they go, oh, now we're back to reality again. But I want them to feel like they're floating away from reality every now and then.
And those were fun conversations having with you was because, that was something we would talk about is, okay, how much do we give the audience? How much do it? And some things,
right.
After a couple of watches, we had to go, okay, well, maybe we gotta give them this. We gotta add this,
right.
In there. And
you want to spoon feed the audience, but you got to make it work a little bit. At the same time, you don't want to lose them. There's a delicate balance there for sure.
Exactly. And man, you have so much experience just in the filmmaking community. You not only do all this, you run the Nevada Film Alliance on Facebook, which is a page for local filmmakers in Nevada, and they can reach out there and check that out. So you have a hand in a lot of different things here locally, a lot of different projects and stuff. What do you think has been the biggest challenge over the years in getting and because there are a couple really great filmmakers out here in Vegas and stuff, and what's been the challenge in getting these movies seen and getting audiences for these things, or in getting it out there, I guess.
I wouldn't say it's been a lot of trouble getting it out there. I've screened in 6 theaters, had 6 premieres in the theaters, packed the house. The last time I had a screening at Rave, which was now AMC at Town Square.
Right.
But the town, since I've been here '93, even in the early days, it was so helpful. My first film, I'd go to all the agents. And I'd knock on the door and say, I'm making a movie. And they go, oh, great. Can we help you? They didn't shun me. There was it didn't matter if I was a little guy or anything. They just say, here, look through our catalog and see what we can pull in. I said, well, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have any money, for this. Well, great. Well, we want to get the actors busy anyway. So I had a great rapport with the agents and eventually the movie theaters and then even the high schools. Because my first one was, I wanted to audition for a 18-year-old. And I went to all the high schools, and when I got to Durango, the drama teacher, I forget her name, said, heck, why don't we just hold all the auditions here? We'll host it. And so it became a whole central thing, audition thing. And said, we'll let you do it. We'll let you use it for auditions if you can speak to the class. So I said, fine. I spoke to the class. I'm not a big name yet, but I was happy to get interviewed there. But along the way, have been very helpful. But the biggest challenge is money. It's always a challenge of money, because with money you can purchase, you can hire people and have payroll and all that. So that to me is the hardest thing. Making the movie is challenging, but once you get the hang of it, you kind of know the ropes and scale it up and down. And then you have to market it. And then once you do that, see how it's marketed. But getting the money is the hardest thing. So I've been knocking on doors, learning a lot about executive producing. And so I'm still at that. I have 3 projects that I've signed options on, 3 intellectual properties for next year that I'm hoping to raise money, and one of them being my first SAG feature film.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's $1 million budget, still small in Hollywood terms, but that's plenty for me. And it's a category of SAG. Plus I can hire people and we can work full time and just work like a job as a team and get the job done. Without that, I have to depend on people who may bail on me, So I've worked between 400 and 500 cast and crew in this town over the years, literally between 400 and 500.
Yeah.
And of all of them, I've had 5 bad apples, basically, that I end up not relying on. So that's a testament to this town, that I can work with so many people and can rely on so many people, even if I'm not paying them money, because they're passionate as I am. They like my passion, and so I've hoodwinked enough people to get in my projects to get them done. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously you talked a little bit like that at some point Amygdala will be available on Amazon and stuff too. And that's a big question I see you kind of talk about a lot in the Nevada Film Alliance Facebook group. I want to get your thoughts on that as well, and get everybody's thoughts on it as well. Also, shout out to Enosh. Good to see Enosh in the chat. Local or our fellow Las Vegan Enosh. He's from Vegas as well.
Hello out there in TV land. Hello out there.
The internet world, the YouTubes. What do you think with all this, the streaming services becoming such a massive, deal and stuff? What are your thoughts on all of that, the theatrical versus streaming and all that?
And I've been witnessing movie making since the 60s. So I have an eyewitness account of all kinds, that whole progress, right?
Sure.
And the studio system had a stranglehold on creativity, because you had to work through them and have the money and everything, until the 50s and the 60s hit. 60s and 70s broke ground and created the independent cinema. I list those names of people that did it, but they're the pioneers. You can go to all the way up. And then the studios started reducing their inventory. They do 10 movies a year, then they do 9, then 8. Now they're doing 7 or whatever. I don't know, maybe even less. But basically, they're more into distribution, doing their cache of projects, but looking for the material out in the independent world to pluck and put through their distribution system. And so, why make it if you can go out and find it and then put it through the system, and then it's already done?
Right.
It's less risky if the work is done. And that's what I was told by my attorney in LA, who worked at Paramount. He was one of the 4 heads of business affairs at Paramount. And he told me a good piece of advice. He made it very simple. He showed me 2 things. He said, picture a script with a business plan and all these major actors attached to it, and you want millions of dollars to make it. And you go to the studio and say, here, I want to make this movie with all these famous names in it. And then you hand them a DVD of a movie that's already done with no names in it. Well, they're going to look at the movie that has no names in it because it's done. And if they like it, they're going to put that into the system. And they're not going to take a risk on the big thing if they had a choice. So having it done, was really the best advice I got, which is just get things done. So my thing about the internet is where we're at now. It's truly amazing. Again, had to work through the studios. Independents worked that out, but you still had to work on film. I had to do 16 millimeters or something. So it was costly. Digital came out in the mid 90s, and I made my first film digitally, and I got into the digital realm early. And now it's all digital. So I have 25 years under my belt, of digital. Because of that, I got a package of Adobe with 2 Micropolis 10 gig hard drives each.
Right.
Two 10 gig hard drives and an Adobe Premiere. Okay.
Yeah.
I paid $6,000 for that package. All right.
Ooh,
10 gigs is what, like a little thumb drive? It's cheap now. There's like $1 now. But anyway, I got involved in digital. But now it's mind blowing. But there's competition back then. There's problems and challenges then, and there's problems and challenges with the competition now. Now everybody and his uncle can make a movie and put it online. So you have a lot of competition. You always have to work in marketing terms of how do you differentiate yourself, whether you're in the tangible world or the digital or the cyber world. But the fact that I can make a movie on a digital camera, edit it on my computer, and upload it to the world is mind blowing. I'm telling you, it's like fantasy, science fiction to me.
Yeah. So you think overall,
you still got to market it. You still have to get attention. How do you do it? You can't just make noise and say I'm over here, I'm over here. You have to get people intrigued by it. And whatever movie you make, the bottom line is it's got to be good, no matter what. You can market the heck out of it and it's no good, it'll just fizzle. But if you market the heck out of it, it's good. It'll take off in word of mouth.
Unless it's Venom, Let There Be Carnage, as we were talking about. But I mean, sorry. I'm sorry I had to bring that.
Digress.
That's an anomaly
who hasn't seen the movie.
It's an anomaly. The first one is terrible, and it made $800 million, and every person I talked to likes it.
Come on, it was fun. It wasn't great, but it was fun.
Thank you.
It's the first time.
Thank you.
It's tiring after a while, but I had fun. It was
fun.
It
was
playful, and so it wasn't like perfect, but it was still entertaining, I thought.
Are you listening now, Austin? That I'm not the one saying
it.
I know. Look, I'm well aware that I am in the minority. That's why I say to me it's an anomaly, because I'm like, I don't understand.
Why would I can't understand why people would want to have fun.
Really? Why be entertained?
Why would you want to go to a movie and have fun? That doesn't make. I want to speak. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you thought it was hokey or something? What?
I know. I just can't. It's for me. I think mainly it's just the dialogue for those movies. I can't.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, watch my next movie. It's a straight drama, but it's a whimsical drama. It's very magical. It's very heartwarming, and I'm hoping to release it here before the holidays. So
tell us a little bit about it. What I know you made it during the pandemic, so that's always fun.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I was,
of course, under COVID.
No, it actually worked out. I was driving across country last fall, and I was just asking my muse, saying, "Hey, give me an idea that can be done in one room with one actor." That COVID is not a big deal because it's just one actor in one room.
Exactly.
So I was in a hotel room, and sure enough, I got the idea of writing it in a hotel room. But there's a storm outside, so this guy's trapped, and he's a young photographer, and in this hotel room for 5 days. He goes through losing a job, to going through, he's going through a breakup, and then he gets a new opportunity, and he gets them all jazzed again. So he's asked to illustrate a book with his photographs. But the publisher, the writer died, so the publisher says they're going to scrap the project because it was to his agent. But if he wants to do it, he can do it if he can write it too, because they have to finish writing it. So he has to write this children's book and do photographs in the hotel room. So he transforms the bed into a snowy scape of a farm and does this whole magical thing. So it becomes a real beautiful testament to creativity. And it's as simple as someone said, it's a small story, but it's a really good one because it just engages the audience in the moment to moment being with this man in his room. He's on the phone with his agent. He's on FaceTime. He's talking to his dad. He's talking to his sister. He's talking to the front desk clerk. So there are 5 other characters he relates to help break it up. But it's all about him being trapped in the room. So I got away with it during COVID because it's a simple way of posting it.
Right. That's a great idea. That's amazing. How long did it take you to shoot it?
I think it's trying to be my best one so far. I'm still shooting it because the first actor I cast bailed on it, and I had to recast.
Oh, that's always fun.
So little things you got to deal with when you're a producer and a director.
Right. Yeah.
Plus my disabilities, my excuse. I don't want to make them excuse, but I have to admit, that I have bad days, bad weeks, bad periods of time when I have to just lay low and just kind of tend to my health, and then I bounce back and I can work again. So I work in spurts. That's why I have to work more independently, because it's hard to find people that will work on that pace. So luckily, the cast I had stuck with me through this. And I always tell people at the beginning, there could be delays. Please don't abandon me. And I get diehard people that are as diehard as I am. And that's the good news about it.
Nice.
Awesome, man. That's so cool. I mean, look, you have a lot of experience and a lot of, a lot of stories, a lot of things. What, when it comes to script writing, that was another thing that I thought, what are some of the the biggest lessons you've learned along the way in script writing and kind of and getting your script seen by people and all that type of stuff?
Well, it's interesting. I fell into screenwriting only because I didn't know any good screenwriters, so I wanted to direct, so I wrote so I could direct. You know, I mean,
right.
You can't direct nothing. You can't direct air or blank pages. So I had to come up with all that. So I learned to write, and luckily in my corporate world, I was had a career. My day job was pretty cool. I was producer, director of major events for IBM and Intel, and creative videos and commercials. You know, I was in strategic marketing and advertising for a couple of decades, working for some major players. And I got to work with some top talent. You know, we hired Sinbad, Penn and Teller, you know, all kinds of folks for these shows. But one guy was assigned to me from Hollywood. He happened as a writer on one of my projects, and Michael Mead, and he happened to be the manager of the story department at Paramount Studios, another Paramount connection. And so I said, cool, I'm a filmmaker. So I had him read my scripts. I talked to him about how to write this, you know, how do you do this? I want to do this. So he first guided me into the Hollywood way of writing a screenplay, because I said, okay, so he gave me some ideas. I wrote the screenplay, and as I gave it to him, I said, tell me what you think as if you were working for the studio. What would the studio say? How would they change it? So he said, well, it's your creative work. I don't want to tell you what to do, but this is what they would do. So he gave me feedback on these scripts over the years, and we collaborated, and it was great. He gave me insight on how Hollywood operates from the screenplay. Then as a director and producer producing these screenplays, I learned a lot more about screenwriting, because every time I do it, I go, who the fuck wrote, sorry, my language.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay,
I say
we're good. It's not essential.
Okay, yeah, good. We could, it's the late night show. It's the MA show.
Okay, good. But I learned by hard knocks, which is I write a screenplay, I make the movie, and then I go, who wrote this screenplay? It sucks. Or, right, why did they write this? So I said, because it was my project, I'd change it. So to sum it up, this last movie I'm working on now, I tend to write because I'm writing for myself. I'm not writing to pitch the script. I'm writing it just as the blueprint for the movie I'm making. So I write it very like the editor, you know, it's the director. So I'm writing it as if you're watching it. So you see the first shot, the first scene, and then you cut to an exterior of a window, and then you go interior again to the scene, and then back to the exterior. So I'm like writing it like I'm editing it. Right. And the problem with that is that the first scene is actually 9 scenes. So I'm going back and forth the interior and exterior, and it should just be, you know, interior the whole time, and just say, you know, exterior intercut or something with exterior shots or something. It shouldn't be that. So I've learned to pare it down to even more of a blueprint, because that's what a script is. It's a blueprint for making a movie, like a blueprint for making a house. You don't tell what the drapes are. You don't discuss what the color of carpet is. You're just discussing the materials that you need to build this house. Exactly. And in a story. So that's where I've gotten to, from sort of, you know, novelists don't work well with screenplay because they're too verbose. So I've gotten more it's like haiku to me. I've gotten more down to the basics of giving very poetic instructions for making this movie without going into the detail that an art director or director should decide. Right. Even the actors.
I'd say you've very much nailed almost kind of like a Tarantino style, in that, you know, you write knowing you're gonna direct it, so you can write it, you can write a style that is, you know, that you understand, and that you know, you look at Tarantino's screenplays. I think Django Unchained was like 187 pages or something, you know, like massive, you know, screenplays like that, so that are almost novels, you know. So
yeah, epic.
But yeah, exactly. But with that, man, I mean, obviously, is there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about before we wrap up the show here?
Well, again, the Storybook of Mr. Rooster is the new title.
Yes.
And it's a straight drama. It's the first of a kind of all the movies I made. It's sort of just a very whimsical, magical. I think this might establish my style. In fact, I think I finally found my voice with this movie. So the other ones are practice. This one I think will be my breakout film. We'll see. Awesome. There's no guarantee, but I'm hoping so. And then I have projects next year, if I can line them up, will put me into the professional category as a director. So that's my goal. Nice. You can follow me for the time being. I mean, you can search me on Facebook and all that, but But
Yes.
M-A-R-K-O, www.marko, not C-O, not the Italian, the Slavic version. I'm actually Ukrainian. So Marco, M-A-R-K-O.tv. That's the portal I'm using to connect, and that connects to Amygdala Warrior right now on Vimeo. But I will eventually develop that next year for having a lot of my films. Plus, I'm going to add a catalog of other films on there for next year to entertain people.
Yep, and that link is in the chat. I just put that in there right now, so that will be in the chat, and I'll put that in the description as well for everybody to.
And I want to thank everybody who has worked for me over the years. If anyone's watching online now or knows anyone, I really the camaraderie that happens in making a film when you just raise your hand and say I'm making a movie, and everybody gathers to you and just there's nothing more beautiful than that, than just feeling like everybody's contributing their part and they're all humble about it. And they respect my vision and they want to make sure it comes alive. But at the same time, my vision is, I call it, it's like a Christmas tree with some ornaments on it. I got to add more ornaments. So I got to get a team that adds more ornaments to it. And so that's what a team does. It fills out everything.
Exactly. Just like you said, team fills out you can't do, you realize too at a certain point that you just can't do it alone. You just,
it's an ensemble affair. It's not solitaire. That's what I could say about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the best part of it. It's people, being with people. It's amazing. It's a microcosm,
Yeah, I agree. Well, with that, Paul, did you have anything that you wanted to add or throw in there? Any news updates or anything before we wrap up the show?
No, I do plan on checking out your work. Austin asked me if I wanted him to, if he could send me the link about 3 or 4 days ago. I said, yeah, send me the link. Then he texted me earlier today and said, oh, I never saw your text. So I didn't get an opportunity to watch it beforehand. I would have loved to do that so I could maybe have a little more input, but I am going to check it out.
Sit down. My movies, I don't like to make too long. They're all about, this is like an hour and 40 minutes, I think, to the end credits.
Nice.
But watch it with good sound system because sound's a big important part of my movies. And in this case, I did have to work with some of the raw sounds, so I played with it. But just you got to have good headphones so you can listen for it because there's a lot of subtleties in it that I left in.
Nice. Yeah,
we'll look at it like a work of art, right? Just watch it like you're at a museum, at a gallery, and you're just enjoying an hour and 40 minutes of a work of art.
Yep, and I'm excited to check it out. It's really cool having you here and listening to your process and just to hear about the collaboration. That's probably the coolest part for me. I graduated from UNLV with my first bachelor's degree a little over a year ago in film, and I edited a lot of scenes and shorts and stuff while I was there. And it's always fun to hear about the process and how everyone does come together. It's fun, and you can bounce ideas off each other and build things like that. And I love just hearing about that and listening to people talk about that, especially as someone who's done it as much and as long as you have. It's very cool.
Yeah, I just provide the cohesiveness for the whole team to keep them focused, but the rest is it's all about the team. You got to have a good team every time.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree completely. But with that, guys, do want to mention before we go, like you said, you can follow Marco. The link is in the chat there. Paul has a pretty big show coming up on Thursday.
Yep.
You got a special someone.
Yes, we interviewed Philip Kennedy Johnson, the gentleman who is writing action comics for DC Comics right now. We had interviewed him about a month ago. He is coming back on the show this Thursday live with us at 6 p.m.
Live. The last one was pre-recorded, right?
Yeah, the last one was canned. We were like, it was the first interview. We were like, okay, let's make sure we get this right. We don't want to like flub up on the air, but he's a great dude. He's easy to talk to. And he's doing stuff from New York Comic Con, which has got a bunch of big action comics and DC and Superman stuff. And we're just going to chat it up with him about stuff like that. And if you're interested, come check it out. I really appreciate that. Into the West Comics on YouTube, Into the West Comics on Instagram, _comics on Twitter because you can't write the whole word on Twitter. And yeah, just come check us out and go check out Marco's films and keep your eye out for his new ones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And with that, guys, so thank you, Marco, so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I honestly, I hope to have you back again because I want to get your thoughts also on just what's going on in the film world too. A lot of stuff.
We got a lot to talk about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot, man. Are you a James Bond fan? You're going to be seeing the new James Bond movie coming out here. Oh man, I cannot wait.
But look, I like it all. I like it all. I like all the entertainment. I'm not picky. It just has to be good. That's all that matters to me.
Right.
Good enough.
Sorry, Venom. I know you like that, but I had to throw a last.
You did a good job. You're easy on me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Now, I did say, and Marco, if you want to go ahead and stick around for after the show, we'll talk a little bit. But before we end, I did say that we would have an announcement, or that I had an announcement. So I do have an announcement, guys. Oh, shout out Phil. What's up, Phil? Good to see you here, man. So with that, I know it's been I took last week off and didn't do any streaming and all that, and so I've kind of been took a step back and been preparing and doing my own kind of research and getting ready here because in the next couple weeks I am going to be stepping away from the Pop Culture Corner. I'm not going to be I'm going to be stepping down as a team member and going and starting our own YouTube channel with some guys here in Vegas, another local Vegas group. The Little Big City Network is going to be called the Little Big City Studios YouTube channel. So pretty soon here, that'll be up and getting ready. But over the next couple weeks, I'll be kind of transitioning. And so I'll be Lean on Me will stick around on here until October 25th or 26th, I think is the next Monday. And then it'll move over to the new channel, the Little Big City Network. But yeah, I mean, I will still be involved with Pop Culture Corner. I'll still be friends of theirs. We'll still collaborate. We'll still be doing a lot of stuff, and I'll be obviously helping them cover DC fandom. Thank you, Phil. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, man. So I'll be helping them cover DC fandom as well and stuff. But other than that, Lean on Me will move over to the new channel, and it's going to be a lot of exciting stuff over at the new channel. It's going to be a channel that's not just going to be about movies. It's going to be about everything. We have so many different shows in the works for you, including one that I've been producing over the last couple of weeks, the Stat Daddy podcast, which is about football. And I'm sure actually we'll probably get Paul on that one too, so that way he can get his football talk in there as well.
Yeah, I have just as much to say about,
Dear God.
I think I probably have more to say about sports than I do comics and movies.
There you go.
Like, if you've watched the show, and that's exciting. Also, I did not know that was something that was happening. Congratulations, Austin. I was sitting here. I was in just as much suspense as anybody who's watching. But I think that's super cool. I'd love to, I like I said, the past week, I literally have been football, baseball, NBA preseason started. I don't watch hockey. Sorry if you like hockey. It sucks.
I mean, I watch the Golden Knights, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't even watch that.
Come on, man.
And that would be fun. And it's just cool to have Austin having a thing to build with. And it's always fun. It's fun to build something. And it kind of goes. This kind of folds in with what Marco was talking about. It's people come together and put things together, and like, I can only speak for myself and my experiences. Into the West Comics, it started as an idea while we were working at a restaurant, me and my friends Frank and Sonny.
Yeah.
And I went to work for the Metropolitan Police Department. They started while COVID was going on. I had a weird schedule, so I wasn't able to do it at first. Jumped in, started doing it with it. It's still us just sitting around talking crap, but we're getting guys who write on the main label for DC Comics on our show who wants to wear our stuff at New York Comic Con. That's super cool. So point being, it is fun to build, and I can't wait to see where Austin's channel goes, and continuing to see where Pop Culture Corner goes, and it all turns together. It all goes forward as one.
It does, man. It does. We can all, help each other out. We can all be a part of something really cool and stuff. And look, we don't believe in it. Like, there's no competition, or anything like that. We're here because we love what we do, and we love having these talks. One of the other shows, Comic Nerd Rave, by the way, is coming back and be featured on that channel. So
nice. That's how I kind of met Austin.
That is, and I started Comic Nerd Rave because of you guys Into the West. I was like, hey,
I did not even know that.
Yeah.
And stuff like this is super cool. Like Phil just said, the Philip Kennedy Johnson interview was rad. I mean, like, I know it went well, and I know it was a lot of fun for me, but it's nice to see that somebody else watched it who isn't me or one of my close friends and is like, dude, that was sick. And that's fun. I don't care if it's one person or hopefully in the future thousands of people. Doesn't make a difference. It's cool just to see one person be like, that was sick.
It's so cool to think that, that you start off with the idea is like, let's just record the conversation because we're gonna have a fun conversation anyways. Like, I don't really care who listens to it, but if somebody does listen to it and thinks it's cool, that's so awesome. Like that's awesome. So like it just makes me happy. And I enjoy if I can put a smile on anybody's face for even a second, or if they enjoy it, that's what I'm here for. That's what I love to do. So like I said, there's gonna be a lot of fun shows over there. Big launch day is October 24th. Dear God, I hope I got that right because it's on the channel already. So that's good. So October 24th is the big launch day. We're gonna have, like I said, a lot of stuff, a lot of music, a lot of musical guests as well, concerts. It's gonna be great. Interviews. His books get a lot of stock at my job. His name, Philip Kennedy Johnson.
He's very, very, very good.
Very popular. Yeah, I still got to read the Alien. That's what I want to read. I want to read his Alien series.
It is
really bad.
Super Action Comics is fantastic. I'm gonna talk about it all at the end of the weekend, but Action Comics is the best it's been in years. Alien, you could not ask for a better Alien series. The Last God, for his Black Label for DC, is fantastic. The last I'm blanking on the name, Appalachia, that's fantastic. And Last Sons of America, or Warlords of Appalachia, I think it's called. Last Sons of America is going to be a show on Netflix with Peter Dinklage and produced by Matt Reeves' production company. We talked to him about that in that. It's super, super sick. But yeah, he not just because he's on our show. Like, the reason he was on our show was because we were like, we couldn't stop talking about him. And then he followed us. I reached out. I was like, hey, do you want to be on the show? And he was. So it's not like, we got to go on the show to talk about. We were talking about him before he endorsed us in any way whatsoever. So his stuff is so good.
Dude, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Guys, check out Thursday's show, Into the West. Paul's got Philip Kennedy Johnson live this time. And with that, guys, that's going to be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. I know we usually close out with some music here, but thanks to my internet or my computer messing up and all that fun stuff, I don't have it pulled up right now. So we're just going to end the show with the little marker thing. And well, actually, maybe I may be trying to stall a little bit so that maybe I can pull up a little bit of music. That way it's not completely, But with that, guys, seriously, thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and come back next week for another fun episode. We're going to talk more about these end credits of the Venom Let There Be Carnage. We got another quick guest. Miss Susie, our CBD sponsor, will be here to talk about her products for a little bit, and yeah, we'll cover whatever fun news is going to be happening this week that I'm sure will be revealed by Marvel or DC, or they'll do something we'll get mad about.
New York Comic Cons, we're going to learn a lot of stuff. And then Fandom is the 16th. There's a lot of information that's going to be coming out pretty soon.
Right. Shout out, Eric, Marlon. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you being here.
Shout out, Phil. You too. Have a great night.
Phil, as always, you're the best, man. And that's another thing, right? Me and Phil may have a little. God, I don't know why he keeps doing that. May have a little collab coming up here, so be looking out for that. But yeah, guys, with that, thank you so much. We do it for you, and we do it for the culture. We will see you next time. Peace out.
some time. I do anything, yeah. I do anything for some time. I do anything for some peace of mind, yeah. I do anything, get me right. I do anything, get me out of my mind, yeah. I do anything for some time. I do anything for some peace of mind, yeah. I do anything, get me right, yeah. I do anything, get me out of my mind, yeah. I do anything, yeah.